unbeknownst to Alan Greenberg. So Alan showed up, Sedella lived in Miami, Sedella and Marley lived in Miami. Alan showed up to the funeral because they were family friends. And it was slowly unfolded at the viewing of the body, the part of the 9-night for Bob. It slowly unfolded in roundabout ways that Greenberg was going to be asked by Sedella and Rita to document Bob's funeral that would go from Kingston to 9 Mile, where he was born and raised for the beginning of his life. And so Greenberg, a white man from New York, who had worked with Werner Herzog on Heart of Glass, and the cameraman for this film, Georg Schmidt-Reitwein, both of those, he worked with both those men on Heart of Glass, and then he was contracted to do this documentary. And the story that I always heard was that the documentary about Bob Marley's life, it was only a few days in the country of Jamaica, and so he had finished the filming and then decided to stay on and film around where Bob was born and then where he was raised in Jamaica, in Kingston, which is not totally the truth. He went down with $5,000, borrowed money, and he went down with 2 cameras, $5,000, and 1 German cinematographer, Reitwein, and he immediately ran into every imaginable problem that you can think of that a filmmaker would run into, both financially and contractually. He was requested by a group of Rastas in Trenchtown to pay them $300,000 US to see Bob's bedroom and his first guitar. And then he, at the funeral at the National Arena in Kingston, he was basically, like, him and the film crew were held hostage by the guy that owned the arena, owned the sort of the rights to upkeep the arena. He was held hostage by them, and they asked for $500,000 US because they said their reasoning was, you're in the film business, you're American, you have to have this money, we know you're lying to us, and so on. So they literally held a gun to his head and said, give us $500,000, and then it got down, and the standoff went for about 5 hours, and at the end of it, they only came down to about 100,000. So, and Greenberg, of course, he was my age, I'm 35, so Greenberg's thing was, I'll just go down and everybody will be stoked to talk about Bob, and that sort of really wide-eyed, totally naive kind of, guy, filmmaker, and he thought it was going to work out, and it turns out that they were trying to extort money from him that he could never possibly had found. So the whole process of this film went totally left. I mean, he just was he just put everything, all the whole production notes, the pre-production, all that, he just threw it away, and him and his DP just went into the woods in Jamaica. And this young man right here, that you'll get to meet throughout the film, they picked him up as a production assistant because he tried to pickpocket Alan Greenberg in the parking lot of the National Arena. And so they ended up offering him a job, and he ended up sort of basically directing the film forward and taking them to the cockpit country, which is in the northwest of the country of Jamaica. It's a largely untamed area of wilderness, and so we'll just go ahead and play the movie now, because I feel like I could talk about this film forever. So yeah, we'll just watch the film, and then after we'll go through it.
Only on Fat J TV.